Hey guys, back here again with another Dragon Warrior video. This will be the 10th in my series. I'm going to label it as 10 out of 10, but I am going to continue the series with a randomized game because I randomized the game. I really enjoyed it, so you can look forward to that. And then I do intend on playing a bit of Dragon Quest in Japanese, just because I know there's some regional differences and that fascinates me, so I imagine that won't be the full playthrough, but I'll probably skip around a bunch and just look for differences. So anyway, in today's video, we are just going through, I guess, documentation, documents, manuals, guides, and there's actually 3 that I found, and I just wanted to kind of flip through them and show you. So this is kind of like my extras video. So we have the Dragon Warrior manual that came with the game instruction booklet. And if you didn't grow up in Nintendo times, the manual is a huge part of the games. There's a lot of production quality that went into it, a lot of good information that we're supposed to learn from it. It says this was 1989, so that must have been when Dragon Warrior hit the States. I would have been 7 years old. And I'm guessing I probably got the game around when I was 8 years old. Table of contents and the map. I'm fascinated by this map because this is the only version of the world I've seen that has names for the different regions. The Grier Peninsula, the Damdora Desert, the Melkador Heights. Remildar is obvious because that's where the town of Remildar is. And then the Plains of Tantical makes sense because that's where Tantical is. But I did find that fascinating. Maybe as I'm flipping through the others, we'll see more of that. But I don't even think these names are mentioned in the game, but maybe they are. I did a terrible job talking to the NPCs in my last playthrough. And we have a storyline. Not a lot here that we don't already know, except they gave a name to the great seer that predicted the descendant of Erdrick that was going to come. So the great seer Maheta. Keep in mind that all of these names are the English translation names. So none of these names pretty well are in the original Japanese, and we'll be exploring that when I play the Famicom version, I'm pretty sure. All right, and then this shows you how to begin the game and how to get through that first screen. There's controls, how to use the D-pad, what the commands do. Now, I do just want to take some time to point out that this was normal for manuals back then. They'd have a photo of the actual gameplay, and then they'd explain what was going on. I don't actually know what era dropped the instruction manuals being so helpful. I think each new generation just trimmed it down more and more. Here's the different commands. Here's about your stats. Explaining the terrain. More of that. Explaining how towns work. Explains the weapons. And it stops at the broadsword. Keeping in mind that there's a flame sword and Erdrick sword in the actual game. And then, same with armor. It doesn't mention the magic armor or Erdrick's armor. And does not mention the silver shield. For some reason, they named it the Fiery Torch. I'm not sure why. All right, more items. Explains what the spells do. Nothing too surprising here. Tells you how to save the game. And then gives you some really, really basic advice for the beginning of the game. And a couple more hints. And then the FCC regulations, and then that's it. Not too exciting, really. But it was functional, and it would help you get started. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the strategy guide that is labeled Nintendo Power. I mentioned this at least in 2 of the other videos. As far as I can tell, it was offered for free with a subscription to Nintendo Power and somehow they bundled the game with it. And again, I can't confirm this myself. I was either 7 or 8 when this happened. But I do remember my mom being excited because she knew I'd love the game. And I ended up with a strategy guide in the game. The one puzzle to this is that I don't remember having Nintendo Power magazines, so I don't know where those went. They went to my brother or something? No idea. But this is the one I owned, and I loved this thing. I would read it cover to cover. The artwork on the cover is fun. Actually makes the Dragon Lord's first form look pretty intimidating, whereas in the game he looks pretty goofy in my opinion. And then, let's see, let's get right into it. So, storyline with pictures. And this was same storyline, but just more dramatic. Even with all this, the worst was still to come. Gwaelin, daughter of King Lorik, disappeared one night in the clutches of a fiend. It was the final straw. So you can just tell it's just amping up the drama. I love it. Do recommend giving that a read when you can. Now, I found this fascinating. This basically describes the entire gameplay loop of Dragon Warrior. So you begin the game, and it's like a flowchart. Begin the game, collect information from villagers, buy necessary items, venture into fields and dungeons, defeat enemies, collect experience and gold, recover lost hit points at the inn, and then it goes back up. And the same thing. That's all you do the whole game. Talk to villagers, buy stuff, fight enemies, recover lost hit points at the end. Maybe the one thing they could add is save the game, because that's pretty important. And then save Princess Gwaelin, actually optional, but pretty good idea. And technically it's almost impossible to beat the game without saving Princess Gwaelin without a guide, because you need to know the coordinates to Erdrick's token. And then finally, of course, you defeat the Dragon Lord, and that's the final objective. Explains the condition window, explains the commands. I love this. It's not just like a little paragraph, like they have drawings, they have photos from the game. I wish the scan was a little bit clearer. I might actually have to go buy this magazine again. I love it so much. So yeah, commands. There's a picture for every command. Same thing for the battle commands. And then this is the kind of stuff I loved. So it includes all of the weapons and armor. And then this is why I occasionally... Now that's interesting. This one does say Silver Shield. Somewhere, something called it the Mirror Shield. That's going to be a little mystery, because I don't think I just made that up. But anyway, yeah, it has each weapon, how much it costs, its strength, and basically a little blurb about it. So yeah, I would stare at these 2 pages for ages. Then we have the special items, so all the stuff you have to find in the game. The cursed items, the fighter's ring. It explains how you get half your money back when you sell your old stuff. Explains all the spells, has a picture for each one. Has all the enemies with their maximum HP, gold, and experience. Yeah. So let's look at some of these. So Slime, the weakest enemy of Northern Nilfgaard. Red Slime, cousin to slimes, but with a little more ferocity. Metal Slime, the lions of the slime family. They live further south. Looking at the most difficult enemies in the game. Stone Man, solid as a rock. Stone Man is no pushover. 160 hit points, by the way. Wizard. The wizard will truly test your skill in using magic. I don't know about that. I never cast stop spawn wizards. I just beat on them. Werewolf, a mighty fighter who may not stay asleep. That's kind of funny. So they imply you should be casting sleep on the Wolf Lord. Actually, the wolves make more sense, because the Wolf Lord, you just kind of hope he uses stop spell and then just pound on him while he's doing that. I mentioned this in my I think this is my last video. Armor Knight fighting him can be like attacking a tank with a toothpick. And then Red Dragon, only the Dragon Lord himself is stronger and more dangerous. And then, yeah, you can see all the different palette swaps. Drolls and Druins only have 2. Most have 3. Skeletons have 4 for some reason. And then this is the map I was talking about. I loved this map, even though it's not labeled. I would hang that up on my wall. All right, and then it actually starts into a walkthrough, so it tells you what to do. Basically each step of the way here, what items are for sale, where everything is in the towns. Goes through strategies, explains that the orange screen, I always called it red, but the orange screen shows you have low hit points. It goes through, and this part of the game is telling you how many experience points you get each level, what spells you get. And then just the artwork was great. Now, I think when we get into the Japanese version, we're going to find the artwork is even better because, well, it's going to be all Dragon Ball anime style. But bringing this to a Western audience at that time, this artwork worked really well. All right, and then it would actually give you maps of all the dungeons too. So there's Erdrick's Cave, which I never went into in my playthrough. That's kind of embarrassing. We have the... Wait, what is this? Rock Mountain Cave. I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, okay. This is the mountain cave. They don't have the treasure chests. That's why I'm a little bit confused. It's because that's where you get the herb, money or death necklace, and then torch and something else. Oh, like fighter's ring. There's a swamp cave. Grave of Garanham, if you remember when I played through, I did a big old loop, got lost, and then realized I missed the part with the door. And then the Castle of the Dragon Lord I actually think might be mislabeled. Because top floor, you go in behind the throne and you come out here. So B1 makes sense. But then... I'm confused because I know that part's linear. Feels like one part you go through here. In fact, yeah, I think this stairway leads here. And you come around. Yeah, this is like confusing me. Maybe I'm wrong though, because you guys know my memory is not great. And then it ends with there's more strategies and tips still to come, so keep buying those Nintendo Power magazines. And then it had a frequently asked questions kind of page. And it was kept it kind of vague because it was trying to still let you figure things out on your own. And then that's the back cover. So yeah, I loved this magazine. And I think it was about the right amount of... I tried to avoid some of the spoilers, but it gave you all the information, told you what to look for, so I really liked it. Especially, like I said, as a kid, I'd just read this thing cover to cover. All right, now this last one, I had never seen this thing before. So it actually confuses me a lot. Something I read online said that there was a strategy guide that took you through the first 1/3 of the game and one that took you through the whole game. If what that person wrote is true, then the previous magazine I just shared was the one that takes you through the first 1/3, at least in terms of the walkthrough. And I believe this one takes us all the way through the game. So I think a bit of an upgrade in the graphics even. I've been looking for clues as to where this came out. I'm guessing it was sold standalone. It didn't come packaged with the game or with a Nintendo Power subscription. So we have just typical stuff, gets you through the first opening screen. It actually goes right into the walkthrough, so I guess that's why this is different than the previous one. And it kind of teaches you how the game works along with the walkthrough at the same time. And then it has like a notebook, like a summary of what you should have learned from that part of the game. So you need to defeat the Dragon Lord, the princess must be rescued, you have to check the treasure chests, and you need to talk to everybody for more information. And then it walks you through buying some equipment. And then this is similar to the manual in that it actually leaves out the Erdrick equipment. It only lists the equipment that's found in shops. Nice artwork again. And again, I'm not sure why I was thinking Mirror Shield, because I'm still not seeing anything. It's all Silver Shield. Okay, and then here's the Erdrick's items separately. So the stuff you can't find in the store, priceless. Perpetuating the misunderstandings of the fighter's ring. It says use this item and your fighting ability will increase. It also causes some enemies to run away. This would be true if it were coded properly. And I believe the randomizer went ahead and fixed it because it gives you +2 attack, similar to how the dragon scale gives you +2 defense. And it is your attack power that determines whether enemies will run away or not. So this should have been true, but there was a bug that the fighter's ring never worked in the original version of the game. Okay. And then that concludes the first town, and then it tells you to go to Erdrick's cave. Again, I've skipped that, kind of embarrassed. But you can literally load up the game, walk over there and do that at first level if you're lucky. So go ahead and do that if you need to. All right, it tells you how to fight, how to stay at the inn. It tells you that the king revives you if you die. And then basically tells you to weigh the cost of being revived versus the cost of just resetting and reloading. Battle techniques. Walk through for Erdrick's cave, including the treasure chests, which is nice. All right, saving the game, more notes. I'm going to kind of speed it up here. So basically it's a walk through the whole game. Got Garenham's next. But notice not the dungeon. The dungeon under Garenham is way too tough. Cole's next. Now, one thing I don't think is very clear here is what levels you should be doing this. So it says level 4, Garenham, sure. It does not, okay, it does tell you level 5 for Cole. That's about right. You might want to avoid the scorpions and skeletons at that point still. All right. It doesn't tell you about the fairy flute, so it's probably doing a walkthrough as if you were actually finding the information the right way, which is by talking to NPCs. All right. This is just Mountain Cave at level 7. Of course, I was doing that at like, what was it? Level 4? 5 wasn't a good idea, but it was. This one says Ramildar at level 8. I think the other guide said level 10. And one thing we did kind of learn is about level 10, you're ready to fight the wolves. If you're level 8, You should be running from those wolves for the most part. Too early to fight the dragon. Alright, it says level 9 for Remildar Town. Southern Cave level 10. I don't really recommend that. Unless you're running from every Wyvern and Goldman and all that. Alright, and then it's not real clear. Seems like they want you to go ahead and do Garanham at level 10. Oh, level 11. Me, I would level up a little bit more than that, but... Okay, and then this one is much more clearly labeled. It's got the treasure chest, and it then tells you which stairs to go to get to the right place. So this is a much better walkthrough than the guide that I had. Wayland at level 12. It's doable but tough. Domdora Desert. Okay, well. Maybe somebody in the game mentions that name, but I never really noticed before. Cantlin Plateau. Level 14 to get to Cantlin. That seems about right. Hawksnest level 17, yes. The Axe Knight is a lot more doable if you have heal more, obviously. Erdrick's token at level 18. Anything past level 17 is very easy because you have heal more. And then it says Dragonlord's Castle level 19. And then fight the Dragon Lord at level 20. Now, I went and fought him at level 21 and nearly lost. I had a bit of tough RNG, and then there was a couple times I actually stood and fought against things I really should have just run away from. But level 20, you can defeat him at level 20. But honestly, I would level up a lot more than that, so I'm not sure if I agree with their level guidelines. And then this is kind of strange. I actually have the... story at the end of the manual. And I think... honestly, I think this is not canon. I was talking about the Erdrick going and fighting the Dragon Lord. And I think, unless I'm misremembering or misunderstanding something, Dragon Warrior 3 ends up being a sneak prequel. Your character, spoiler warning, your character in Dragon Warrior 3 is Erdrick, essentially. And you're not fighting the Dragon Lord, really. So I don't know if this is just not canon. I mean, it's the English version that they put into a hint book. So not canon, I'm sure, but Dragon Warrior 3, like I said, you are basically Erdrick and you don't fight the Dragon Lord. It's a different enemy in that game. And then we have an appendix. We have some pretty good artwork again. And then that's the ending there. So yeah, I don't know where this manual came from. I don't see a price tag on it. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was sold or how you got your hands on this one. So if you can figure it out, drop me a line in the comments. This particular hint book kind of surprised me because I did not know it ever existed. But here it is, and it's a much better walkthrough than the one I was familiar with. But I do think mine was charming, and again, that was my childhood, flipping through that magazine and fantasizing about it. That and the Final Fantasy Strategy Guide from Nintendo Power, because that thing was awesome too. So, well, like I said, this wraps up the Dragon Warrior series. Look forward to my randomized playthrough, which I think will come out to about 3 videos, maybe 4 when I'm done. And then look for a Dragon Quest video at some point where we explore the original Japanese version and the differences. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching.